is CDX.
Hey y'all, I'm Allie Kelly. We're at 2019 CMA Fest, and I have the privilege and honor of talking to Erica Stone. It's so nice to see you, and you look so pretty on this early Saturday morning.
Thank you, as do you.
Thank you so much. We're trying to be bright and shiny.
Yeah.
It's rainy in Nashville. Okay, so you had a musical calling a few years ago, right?
Gosh, yeah. I think I grew up on music, loving music my whole life, but I was kind of one of those people that, you know, in my earlier years, before I got the nerve to move here for music, I didn't think it was ever, you know, it's like a pipe dream, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to just follow a traditional path, and gosh, chasing the music business is definitely not that.
Yes, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you write? Are you a songwriter?
Yes.
So you write, you sing. Do you play an instrument also?
I do a little guitar. I don't call myself a player. I use it to write, but I don't. No, I wouldn't call myself a player by any means. I leave that to the people that are super experienced.
Do you hold it?
I hold it. I know quite a few chords. But it's funny. My co-writers, whenever I come in with a song that I want to have them help me finish or an idea, I'll always have my guitar. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to play you my idea. And of course, every single one of my songs is in the same, the same rhythm, same timing. And so thank God other people play better than I, so that, I have some upbeat and some, different stuff on the record by the end of it.
Okay. So after being down here for a little while, you got derailed and started going on a different direction. Tell me about this.
Yeah. So was very active in the business for years. Was part of a duo when I first got here to town, and chased the dream, pounding down every door on Music Row, and got very close to closing our few record deals. And it was right as literally the one particular deal that we had just about ready to sign, the doors to the label shut down, 2 days before we were supposed to sign our record deal. Those kinds of things were happening to me. Just everywhere I turned, it was another kind of let down, which is this business. It's just the way it is around here. And so after the last door closed, it was this moment for me where I felt kind of tired of myself. I'm like, okay, I need to take a break, and I need to focus on something that's bigger than me. I'm tired of that.
I love that. The way of looking, I just got tired of myself.
Well, I'm not a great promoter, self-promoter, and you have to be in this business. And so when you're kind of put in that position of knocking down the door and saying, hey, listen to my songs. Hey, this is what I want to talk about. I want you to listen to me. At some point, it's just I'm tired of talking about myself. I'm tired of putting on this performance when I know there's got to be more to life than this, in these few square blocks. And so we had adopted our first daughter in the process of music and all that kind of thing. And I couldn't quit thinking about where she had come from. And I knew that I thought I had to have a platform in the music business before I could ever impact the world, on a grander scale. And one day I woke up and I was just like, you know what, I don't need that. And I'm gonna focus on something different for a bit. And so, long story short, ended up in Sierra Leone, and ended up opening an orphanage, something I never, ever imagined doing.
That just gives me goosebumps when you say it. When I read it about you, I thought that is so amazing that you would go so far away and open an orphanage. That's a tremendous undertaking, I'm sure, physically, and emotionally.
Yeah, I think, for sure. I'm funny in the way that I don't think through things very well. It's I run off pure heart. And when I saw the need, when I went back over and just saw the number of children that were suffering, I knew that none of them would have the opportunity my daughter had. There had to be, something had to be done. So I just had this bright idea that, we'll fix this, and I think I tell people now that if I'd known what the journey would have looked like, the years of toiling and trench work, what I would encounter when I got there, I may not have ever done it. So I'm really glad that I'm super naive and blind, and I kind of jump without thinking, because there are so many beautiful stories along the way, but it has been quite a journey, to be honest.
So how many children were in the orphanage? What's the most you think you had at one time?
Oh, probably close to 150.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we have close to 90 right now.
Uh-huh.
We've always been in the hundreds until the last couple years. We were able to finally get the doors of adoption open, and so a lot of children have been adopted in the last few years. And so, but yeah, we're always full. We're always at capacity. So it's just a revolving door because there's always another child.
Is there an average age?
Oh no, we have children from infancy, children that are abandoned in hospitals that we take in all the way up to like 16, and then once they pass the age of 16, we move them into our transitional home. So we also run a primary like a school. We run a special needs program. We're the only special needs program in the entire country of Sierra Leone. So we have a lot of children with disabilities. And then we have a Roots House, which is the transitional home for children that are aging out.
Okay, that's fantastic. So in the years that you were doing that, I'm sure you were busy doing that and concentrating on doing that, but when you got the moments to start writing again, I can only imagine what new things you tapped into.
Well, it's funny. I kept trying to get back into the music for years. And I realized that I was a different person than when I was here 10 years ago to who I am today. We're just I'm not the same girl. And so every time I would step back into it, I would go about it the way I used to do it. And I kept putting it back on the shelf. Like everything I would write was okay, and I put it back. And I go back to what I knew, which was orphan care. I go back to what felt safe, something I knew that I could impact. I knew that I could continue impacting that space. And so I kept thinking that this music was this selfish space. So I kept putting it back on the shelf, and we kept adopting more children. And so I kept being mom and all these things. And then honestly, one day I ended up in therapy, trying to find myself. And she looked at me and she said, "You've got to find the core of who you are. What do you think you would die if you lost? What can you not live without?" And I looked at her and I'm like, "It's the music. That's why I feel like I'm dying inside." And so she told me, she said, "Oh, you've got to go back to it. You've got to." And so I said, okay. So I went back into it. Well, part of writing this record that we have out now is I also had to write a book. I had to write the story. And I ended up, crazily enough, writing both the album and the book at the same time. And I felt like it was the first space that I've ever been in as a creative, whether as an artist or an author or a woman, able to share my story and work through the journey very authentically and raw, so to speak. And so that's what happened. And then it was all kind of created, and then it has all kind of come out at the same time. And it's been a really interesting, freeing process almost.
That is such a very, very cool story. I mean, it's just beautiful that you wind it all together. You're so talented. You're such a good songwriter. You're such a good author, which is songwriting, just without the melody, I guess, when you're writing your book.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you are. How many kids have you adopted? How many do you have now?
So I have 6.
And what are their ages?
So my oldest is 21.
Oh, wow.
So 21, 20, 19, 18, 16, and 7. Wow. So, yeah.
That's a lot going on.
A lot of hormones in my house. 3 boys, 3 girls, and very clearly there are the lines of battle on a daily basis.
Funny. That's
so,
a lot.
yeah.
How long have you had all of them?
So, my oldest child is my biological, and then the other 5 are all adopted. And my second daughter came home in 2004, and then the next 3 came home in 2013. So they've been here 6 years, and then the last one came home late 2014.
And are they all from the same place?
Yeah. So all of them, but all of them are from the orphanage we started, except my second daughter. Okay. She's who exposed me to Sierra Leone in the first place, but she was the beginning. She was the first chapter.
Do they, I don't want to use that word. Do they speak English well? And
yep. We teach English at the center. And Sierra Leone's actually an English-speaking country.
Oh, okay.
It has some other dialects, like Creole and There's a lot of other languages kind of spoke through the tribes. But it is actually a British colony originally, so they do speak some English. So makes transition to the States a little easier.
Okay. Well, let's talk about shifting gears, kind of. Let's talk about your new album.
Yes.
It is called
Antidote.
Okay. Where did that come from?
So one of the obviously it's titled off of one of the tracks, and one of the things I have found in my own kind of journey of pain and trauma and hardship and struggle is that I'm not the only one that's been there. And in a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and then kind of studying my own life and reflecting, I realized that we all have an antidote. There's some way we cope. Sometimes that's things, and sometimes it's people become our antidote. And that's one of the threads of the album, is that I know for me personally, I love to hide away when I'm struggling. I try to isolate. But I have found that we don't make it through anything alone. Right. And that's kind of the common thread of the record.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your current single?
So we've released 2 singles so far. Lies and Glass House was the second one. So we're kind of sitting where that is right now. And then the whole record just released a few weeks ago, and we had our launch party at Analog like a week or so ago. Yeah, so that was fun.
Well, good. Well, that's exciting. Now, do your kids like to come out and see you perform?
You know, that was something that was really incredible, because I literally have not performed in years. And what we realized as I was preparing for this show, none of my children, except my oldest 2, have ever seen me in that space.
Oh, my gosh.
So it was like, I'll get emotional talking about it, but when I was at Analog and we got to the last song, it's called Nobody Makes It Alone, I could see up into, the corner, my corner vision, and all my kids were upstairs, like lining, sitting there watching. And it just felt so empowering. I think we as moms and women think that our children maybe chain us to motherhood. But if we dream, sometimes we empower them to dream, and there's like this back and forth respect and love for one another. And I just, to see them so proud of me was just a really just a very defining moment for me at that show.
That's sweet. That makes me smile. That makes my heart grow.
It was really awesome. It was awesome.
Well, great. Well, it is so nice to talk to you. I admire you so much. You've done a lot, and it's just really great, good things.
Well, we wouldn't have that center, and all of the things wouldn't have happened without a world of support. We have so many people that volunteer and travel and help us do the things that we do. We couldn't do it by ourselves. So there are a lot of great people behind the charge to help children. So
we're with Erica Stone. Tell us where we can find you, your music, and all your book, everything.
Yeah, so the book is called Gray, A Story of Loss. It's on Amazon. You can grab it there, a copy. The music is on every platform, so every streaming platform, iTunes. You can also go to my website at ericastone.net.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
it's so
you.
nice to see you.
Nice to
Thanks,
see
y'all.
you.